Morning. It's Saturday, November 7th. It's the Saturday following Election Day. And yesterday I'm watching all of these news reports. And all they keep talking about is the claims that the president and his lackeys, his toadies, his ass-wipe lickers are claiming that there's fraud in the election and that the election is being stolen from him. And we as Americans should be ashamed of the mere fact that the president would talk like that and be prepared not to leave the White House or concede. He's preparing to go to court, and he's preparing to fight the results of the election. And he has been preparing this for months. And he is basically ignoring the fact that the people who work in the polls and count the votes are not Democrats. They're not Republicans. They are a mix of all of the races and creeds and political parties that exist in this country. And they are now doing a heroic job with the amount of work that they have to do. So he should be ashamed of himself for casting aspersions on the citizens that he is supposed to be protecting. The man is just the ultimate narcissist. He cares about nothing but himself. He is obsessed with anything that reflects on him and causes him to look like the loser that he is. Big time loser. And people like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell have stood by him. And the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. They did okay in this election. They managed to hold on to all their Senate seats. They managed to gain seats in the House. So if the Democrats were trying to steal an election, why would they allow a new president, their new president, to be hampered because many seats were still filled by Republicans? So when I look at this election with disgust. I look at this election as a failed experiment. A failed experiment in the sense that the American people voted Trump in the first place and stood by for 4 years as he lied continually. And there was no demonstration against him personally for lying. And if you list all his lies, many of them were detrimental to this country. I don't even want to go into some of them because they're horrible. And I look at the people around here and I wonder why. How could we be fooled? What was so great about Trumpism that we allowed this man to stay in office for 4 years? And you can see right now what's happening in this country. There are still people out there. He has convinced his minions that the election is stolen from him. And so they are outside municipal buildings all over this country waving their Trump banners and wearing their red hats and saying they are going to take this election back because it is a fraud. Well, the only fraud in this election is the president. He has been a big fraud. We will never see his tax returns. The so-called wall hasn't been built yet. There is nothing that he has done that has benefited the majority of the American people. He backed away from our allies. He has made us the laughing stock of the world. His tariff situation with China has backfired. And he continued to tell people a lie about that, about how China was paying all those tariffs, when in reality, we were paying those tariffs. Those tariffs were so bad, we had to bail out the farmers. We had to give them subsidies. I hate subsidies. We had to give the farmers subsidies for his errors in ways. Biden will have a terrible task in front of him. He will have to rebuild our associations with all our allies. He will have to work with a Senate that is controlled by Mitch McConnell, who I have said many times is the most evil man in government. I don't know if Joe Biden is up to that task. I don't think Joe Biden is a really powerful man. So I don't know what's going to happen to this country in the next 4 years. And I say this at a point where I don't think the election is 100% perfectly validated. But I think that we have a lot of work to do in this country. And I think the biggest problem in this country right now is divisiveness. And the fact that there's 66 million people who still consider Trump a hero. And that means that there are 66 million people in this country where race is a critical issue in their lives. And it's not a pleasant issue. And if you had watched and listened to the things that Trump said, it was clearly racist talk when he complains about Detroit and Philadelphia's, because those cities have large black populations. And those cities have other problems, a lot of unemployment and things. So Trump was not a man for the country. Trump was a man for himself and his family. And his violation of the Emoluments Clause for 4 years is a shoud, a disgrace. So we should be happy we're getting rid of him. And we will never see his tax returns. Never. But we will see his lawsuits. He will fight like crazy because that's his MO. He can't stand losing. He's a monumental sore loser. Instead of stepping up like a man and wishing his successor good luck, you won't see anything like that from him. And I hope we don't have to drag him in screaming, kicking and screaming from the White House when the time comes for him to leave, because that would only ruin our reputation around the world, make us look like assholes, more like the assholes that we are. All right, I think I've said enough this morning, so I'll say goodbye now, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.